morning, God bless. So, now that I have a little bit of time, let me get the trash out of here. I'm gonna explain to you guys something real quick about downshifting. Obviously, I'm not moving, but I want to do something real quick, just, park, that way it's a little bit easier to explain. Then what I'll do is I'll drive and I'll downshift, and then I'll add that video on the clip or whatever. I'll edit the video. Anyway, so downshifting, a 15 speed, a 13 speed, a 10 speed, a 18 speed, it's all the same. Or Super 10 transmission, it's all the same. A lot of people, the very first mistake they make, most new people, and I've seen some older guys do it too, guys have been driving for years, you only downshift, let me check this thing. Yeah, I'm recording. Yeah. You only downshift when you're at a certain RPM. So I don't know if probably not. You can't see this, but let me move it a little bit right there. That's probably better. So the RPM's right here. Most trucks, anything between 13 and 15 RPM, like normal operating speed and normal operating conditions, especially when you're loaded too, sometimes a little bit more, that's where your gears are going to go in. So the same difference when you're downshifting, it doesn't change, it's just reverse. What does that mean? It means that you're going to downshift at those RPMs. However, you got to always remember, if you're doing, for example, 55 miles an hour and you're on the highest speed, this truck would be, all the way to the right up would be the highest speed, and this thing flicked up, that would be 10 speed. That would be, let's say for the sake of it, 10 speed. It's a 15 speed. Okay, let's just leave it at 15, right? So, let me move it over here. Yeah, like there. I hope. Anyway, so let's say you're on the highest speed. What's going to happen is you're doing 55 miles an hour. Your RPMs are going to be, let's say, for example, 15, right? So this is very crucial. You're not going to be able to downshift at that kind of RPM. Even if you give it gas, your RPMs are going to go up. And you might be able to downshift at about 2,000 RPM, but if you're going down a hill and you do that, you're going to over-rev your engine. Sorry. What does that mean? That means your RPMs are going to exceed what the truck is supposed to handle. The RPMs, if your truck's in gear, the RPMs will keep going up, even if the computer's controlled. What does that mean? Even if you have a governor on your truck, this is an older truck, it doesn't have that, but on a new truck, even if you have a governor on it, when you get to a certain RPMs, you can't go past that, even if you keep pressing on the gas, because it's the computer, somebody governed it, right? And most trucks, just like a car, they have a peak RPM, which means that's the highest RPM they get to. So, on this situation, if you're going down a hill and you're downshift, and the truck is in gear, you will exceed those RPMs, no matter if it's governed or not, because the force is pushing you, especially if you're loaded. And your RPMs will exceed 2,000, 2,100, 2,300, and you more than likely you're going to over-rev your engine. You're probably going to blow the engine. That's how a lot of drivers mess up engines, and they don't know why. It's because they over-rev it. So you have to stay under normal operating conditions. Most trucks, I wouldn't recommend you rev them over 1,800 RPMs. This truck goes a little bit higher because it's a 3406. It's a little bit older engine. They're designed to go a little bit higher. And I try not to go that high. The only reason why I do it sometimes is because I'm geared low. So I'll try to, get some speed when I'm going late or when I'm trying to get somewhere fast. But let's leave that out of it. Let's just focus on what we're doing here. When you're, I kind of lost my train of thought there. Anyway, sorry. What I was trying to explain is when you're downshifting, if you're going to be downshifting or trying to rev the engine at whatever speed or whatever RPMs you're at, you're going to have trouble. The best way to do it, and this is the way that I always tell everybody to do it, and this is the simplest and easiest way, okay? You're in 10 speed, all right? What you do is you let off the accelerator. Okay, you're trying to downshift, right? Let off the accelerator. Let's leave the Jake brake out of it, because I know a lot of people don't know how to use a Jake brake. So, well, they think they do, but they don't. So, when you're at a 1,500 RPM, what you're gonna do is release the accelerator and ease off on the brake. Start squeezing the brake a little bit. Start stepping on it, and let your RPMs drop to 1,000 RPMs. Okay, right? You're still in the highest gear. You're still in 10th gear, 15th, whatever. You're gonna downshift to the next lower gear. Will be 14th or 9th, whatever. If you're a 10 speed, what you do is you have to slow down and press the brake till you get to 1,000 RPMs, and then you will downshift. Okay, and the way you downshift is you give it gas. So you're at 1,000 RPMs. Okay, visualize this. You just let off the accelerator. You're braking. You're still in gear. You see your RPMs going to 1,000. Okay, now you're gonna downshift. All right. What you do is you pull it out of gear. If you're still not used to floating the gears, you pull it out of gear. All right. And when you pull out of the gear, the RPMs are gonna drop. So before the RPMs drop, just give it gas to 1,500, and then just slowly try to put the gear in, and it will go in. And I'll show you guys how to do that once I'm out on the road. Right now we're parked and waiting to start working. So same principle. When you're gonna downshift to the next gear, you slow down with the brake or the Jake brake, whatever you want to use, and to 1,000 RPMs, and then you downshift. Now when you're on the low gears, like you're on the sixth gear and down, or fourth gear and down if you have a 13 speed, whatever. That you don't need to do that. You just use your clutch, but do not take your truck out of gear ever. I don't care what gear you're on. If you're still moving, don't take your truck out of gear. What do I mean by that? If you're on 10 speed and you had to slow down, you had to brake, you clutched, you pressed in your clutch, right, all the way down your 10th gear, or let's say your 9th gear, and you had to slow down, press the brake, leave the truck in gear, but clutch it. That way the truck doesn't move. Leave it in gear, slow down to the speed you need to slow down, look at your RPMs, look at your speed. So if you slow down to 15, 25, whatever, and then put the truck in gear. But don't take it out of gear. It's not a car. When you do that, the transmission actually helps you to slow down. Then you take a truck out of gear, now the truck is free. So it's a lot more dangerous for you to gain speed, to be able not to stop it, especially if you're loaded. Don't do that. That's malpractice. A lot of guys do that, and they get mad at me every time I tell them, "Oh, I learned this way." Well, you learned wrong. I don't know what to tell you. I'm being frank. It's just when you're driving a truck, you're driving a weapon. 80,000 pounds or whatever you're carrying. It's a very, very dangerous thing. So do not take your truck out of gear. If I make myself clear, it doesn't matter what speed you're at. If you had to brake, leave the truck in gear. If you couldn't downshift, you had to brake right away, leave the truck in gear and clutch it. Even if you slow down all the way to stop and you're in 10th gear, clutch it, leave it in gear if you couldn't downshift. And then what you do is when you're a full stop or you're still rolling, just pull it out of gear and look for the gear you're looking for. And then you can have it in neutral trying to find the gear, because you're not trying to stop anymore. But when you're trying to stop and you take the truck out of gear, it's very dangerous. You're actually going to gain speed. Try it and you'll see. I hope you don't. It's dangerous, but a lot of people do that. It's very malpractice. I don't care how long you've been driving. If you're doing that, you're doing it wrong. Simple as that. My dad, we've driven in hills. We've driven everywhere. I've myself driven a lot of places. And when you're driving a truck, you want to be able to learn from everybody. I learned a lot of things from my dad and a lot of things from other people too. And you pick up a little bit of everything. And the reason why I tell people I make these videos is to help people out. It's not because I think I'm better than anybody. So, once again, I'm sorry if I'm offending you, but if you're pulling a truck out of gear, you're doing it wrong. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Every single gear you're going to downshift, that's the way you downshift. And you shouldn't have to downshift, the low gears unless you're driving you're driving on a hill, you're in a dump truck. And like I said, it's probably pretty much the same principle, but you can actually let the RPMs drop a little bit less, maybe 1,200 if you're on the lower gears. So essentially, in a nutshell, you want to just slow down all the way to 1,000 RPMs before you try to downshift. That's basically what it is. I'll just give a lot of explanation, that way people can follow little by little. And if I'm annoying some of you or whatever, then I apologize about that. But I'd rather be more descriptive, you know, and that way when I make a video it's safer and people can understand it. So that's the simplest way to do it, and I guarantee you it's effective. That's the way I taught a lot of people, and that's the way I learned. And you know, like I tell everybody, and like I make my videos, you're gonna get your own little rhythm. You're gonna get your own, you know, your own mannerisms and your identity when you drive your trucks. But that's the simplest way to start. Don't pull the truck out of gear until you'll reach a certain RPM and you're gonna downshift. And if you're gonna be in a full stop, don't pull that truck out of gear. You're gonna regret it.